Hi all. Today we are going to talk about the flip indicator. It shows us the pulling and stacking activity similar to the snapshot meters. By default, we are looking at the first 5 levels, but we can change it in the settings, which we'll look at later on. Looking at the blue side here, which would be considered bullish and the red side considered bearish, it does not necessarily mean bids are stacking. It's a mix between bid stacking and offers pulling. We might have more blue, but not so much because bids are stacking, but maybe because offers are pulling. What we are doing is adding the stacked bids and pulled offers, adding the stacked offers and the pulled bids, and then subtracting one from the other. But let's now look at a couple of examples. We will trade mainly from what the indicator is telling us, but at the same time, it needs to be put into context. In our first example, we were trading in a range right below a previous resistance area. On this last move higher, we can see that the flip indicator was blue. And as we discussed earlier, that indicates we have a mix between bid stacking and offers pulling. We placed a sell order right below the range high, giving us a good position. Our reasoning was that despite bids being stacked and offers pulled, buyers were not able to keep lifting the offer. Sellers were still refreshing their orders. We were at the range high, so we could get back down to the range low. Our first target is executed at the range low. We move our stop loss to break even. Prices trade at our second target, the bid never pulls and buyers lift the offer. We moved our target one tick higher so it could get executed if prices came back to retest it. The order is executed and we moved the stop loss to 34.25 where no one traded previously. Prices came down to 31.75. We can see how sellers were hitting the bid at 32 even, and the bid kept refreshing. Buyers lift the offer, and looking at the indicator, the reading continued to be the same. Despite the cluster of blue bars giving us a bullish reading, prices did not move higher that much, and the offer started to stack while bids started to pull. We moved our third target to 32 even so it could get executed if prices came back to retest it, which it does. We moved our stop loss to 33 halves, and here is something we missed. As we pulled back, we had a mix of offers stacking and bids pulling, right? We get this cluster of red bars giving us a bearish reading, but notice how prices did not extend much lower this time. We were not able to push lower than 31.75. This was indicative that we might get some sort of reversal point here, which proved to be correct as our stop loss is executed and prices moved higher, breaking upward the previous range high. Let's look at one last trade. We had just made a new session high, we started to chop around, and as we pulled back, we could see bids stacking, which was a bullish sign here. We pushed higher, and we saw bids stacking at 37 even, where we placed a buy order, which was immediately executed. We could see offers being stacked and bids being pulled, but prices barely pushed lower, and we had two circles indicating high volume being traded there. Our first target is executed. We pushed our stop loss to break even, and also pushed our second target one tick lower since the offers were being refreshed, and we wanted to see if we could get that order executed. As the market continued to push higher, taking that big offer at 40 even, we pushed our stop loss to 38 even. And as we looked at the indicator, we were still seeing buyers continue to stack their bids. And as offers lifted, our third and fourth targets got executed, closing this way our position. In summary, The flip indicator is an awesome tool to help us see how the stack and pull can influence price movement. Although the indicator will follow the price most of the time, we do prefer to use it as a divergence indicator, when the price does not follow it and it's within our context. Also, bear in mind that the indicator can look very different depending on the market and time you are trading. We will get better readings from thinner markets than thicker ones and during regular market hours than overnight hours. The volatility of the market is also very important. The higher the volatility, the less important the pull and stack activity is. Very similar to what happens to support and resistance areas, which are easily blown away by volatility. During this period, we will need to rely on other trading techniques. It's up to you to know your market or markets of choice and know how they behave. And lastly, don't forget to adjust the Vista chart time interval accordingly. Test different ones and see which one can give you better readings. In the examples we've given, we are using a 5-second interval for the yes. Again, it's up to you to test and see what you feel most comfortable with. Let's now look at the settings. Right at the top, as we saw in the previous video, we have the buttons for the cumulative delta, the volume, the depth imbalance, and the flip indicator. We also have the crosshair and the zoom in and zoom out, which is done by changing the interval width. We have the clear button, which will delete the current history beyond the 10 levels of depth. We can also undock the Vista window from the depth and sales by clicking on this button, which will allow us to resize and place the window wherever we want. And also, we can center the Vista chart, which will automatically center the depth and sales. We then have the bar interval, which is set to seconds. There is no preferred time here. It's dependable how volatile the market is and how much data we want to look at. The interval width, as we already saw, is where we zoom in and zoom out. With the circle tuner, since the difference between normal trades and exceptionally large trades can be big in some markets, creating an excessive number of circles on the chart, we are able to filter those circles by removing the ones with less volume and only showing the ones with higher volume. The depth tuner will filter the depth levels, only showing the ones which have more depth, making it easier for us to see and focus on those specific levels. And finally, we have the depth scope, in which the default is set to 10 levels. Here we are taking the average of the first 10 levels of the depth and then shade them according to that average. Regarding colors and some other settings, we need to go to the depth and sell settings and go to the Auction Vista tab. Here we can set the different colors for the bars, circles, and also for the heat map. By default, the heat map, asks, and bit colors are the same. But we can, for example, let us open a template here, where we have the heat map for the offer side set to red and the bid set to blue. The write data option is enabled as we open the Vista chart. This will create depth history data by creating a file where all that data is recorded. And the auto center option will obviously auto center the Vista chart. We can also change the color for the cumulative and the volume indicator. In the depth imbalance, we can disable or enable the imbalance view, and also how many levels of depth we want to look at, which is something we can do also in the flip indicator. Finally, we have the crosshair tab, allowing us also to change its color. If you have liked this video, leave a thumbs up, click on the bell to be notified when the new video is uploaded, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you.